Hey guys, come out here. Oh, this is a nice sunny spot. It's almost the only nice sunny spot in the morning. Oh man, did I wake up late today. So, I just woke up with a whole new lease on life. Last night, I had a menopausal midnight mystery school session. You know what that is? When you wake up and you're just like, can't go to sleep, and then the little thoughts keep churning and churning and churning. And they were not good thoughts. They were focused on like all those country western songs that talk about you done me wrong, and I was just like mulling over situations in my life that I didn't like, and how I was suffering injustice, and what would it feel like to have justice? That was like the next better thought. And what would I have to hear in order to really be able to forgive? 'Cause I was just going down like it was a rabbit hole that was like headed to hell. And even this last week, I tried that on. I tried on something completely opposite from Course in Miracles, which is the world's idea of forgiveness, or the Matrix idea of forgiveness, which is, I need you to see what it is that you've done, to look upon the horror of your actions, what you have done to me, and then I need you to feel what I felt, and then after that you need to come up with just the right words to make it feel all better, so that I know that you got it. And so since you got it, then you'll never do it again. And I actually went through all the motions of that, and successfully got somebody to play with me on it. And I noticed something. In the end, I didn't feel very good. I felt sad and hurt, and all of that had been brought up for me again. And even though I got my words, my barometer is this: there's nothing more important than that I feel good. And I didn't feel good about it. I mean, and then it just led to more. Like, it's a hungry beast, this exacting punishment from other people. It's a hungry beast, and it never ends. But I thought, okay, well, I'm here incarnated into 3D planet Earth, and this is all about having experiences. And although some may not agree with me, and sometimes I don't agree with this either, but I'm just trying it on, and that is that there is no right and wrong. There's simply just experiences. So I started thinking about that last night as I was going down into that drain of, how am I going to work this out? Why is this happening? All that kind of stuff. And then I remembered the Course in Miracles, and since it was Menopausal Midnight Mystery School, I got up and I just read a little section. And it wasn't really a section that had much to do with it. It was something on there is no order of difficulty in miracles. They are all the same. One miracle is all the same, and the miracle is the forgiveness. And why not just do it and feel good? So I tried that on when I went back to sleep, and it was just like, okay, I'm going to do it and feel good. And it's not going to make any sense to me. And by the way, A Course in Miracles does not make sense to me in what it calls the world. The Bible calls it the world too. The world and the flesh. Most of us call it the matrix, the overlay, you know, the holographic video game that we're all living in. But the Course in Miracles says that that's not true. It's all illusion. And the only thing that is true is love. And love feels good. So, as it is with this Course in Miracles and with me, I have ups and downs, constantly having ups and downs. I don't know if you've been doing this with me, or if you've done it in the past, if you felt this, or if it came easy for you. Like Lover was saying to me the other night, is it easy to you? Do you, hi, wee. And I said, you know, I understand, but I buck against it, because I'll take something in my own life and I'll think, well, can I just forgive and just be a big smiley face and just do it myself? And I think to myself, well, yeah, I could do that. But then what I do is I try to push it out into the larger world around me, all the way out into nations, you know, and think, how does this work with nations? And that's where I get tripped up. If I just keep it just for myself and work it out for myself in my own little life right now, it seems to be, it's easier for me to trust it. I have a problem with trust. I get it. And all of us have a problem with trust in the world, because the world is upside down and backwards. It's about seeing outside the world. That's what this is. So I'm starting to come up on the end of A Course in Miracles, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be a year-long mind training course. I'm coming up on the end, and I'm starting to evaluate, like, what did this offer me? How much of it did I apply? Because that's the most important thing to me, is my own application and my own experiences. And am I going to be able to sustain this? Will I be able to remember this as I look out on the world and all of the issues of attack and separation and defense and injustice? Because it's like that's what's screaming right now in the world. So I've made the decision to go another year, to go a whole other year, and do my best to find those ahas like I did last night. Like, I was swirling in it last night. I was just swirling in it, and so much so that my tummy was even hurting, because I was like, this is so unjust and there's no sense to it, and how can I make sense of it? But there is no way to make sense of it. None at all. Because the upside down world doesn't make sense, and it never will. Ever. I wonder if it would be accurate to say that there's no way that we can see justice in the upside down world, which is, like I said, like it is a Bernays creation to keep us locked in the construct. Google Bernays. So I made that choice today. I'm going to do it again and continue forward. This is my little tiny, and it is little tiny compared to most people, art studio. Pastels and chalk. I love this chalk. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm starting something that most of you already know about, and that is called the Artist's Way. And I've just been so drawn to something called the Makers Movement. And in the Makers Movement, it's about handmade creativity that lasts a lifetime. So this is the curtain backing for that curtain that Kelly gave me, and this is just for one of the magic sacks. I'm gonna make a gold one. I actually saw yesterday on the net, I actually saw that the Ecology Center over in San Juan Capistrano had, and they do everything beautiful over there. Oh my gosh, they're so inspiring. I've brought you there on videos before, but they said they had, last weekend was their annual, so they only do it once a year, so far as I know, their annual Makers Market. So this whole thing about the Makers Movement is really catching on, and I'm really happy for it. They had things like they had a man that had a loom, and he would make wool material, beautiful handmade stuff. He's from the Ahachiman local Indian tribe here. I think he was from there. And he and his mom would dye the wool and then make these beautiful bags from it. Just super beautiful, last a lifetime kind of bags. Just amazing. The Makers Market. And then there were other people that did stuff like me. There were people who made soaps and candles and herbal tinctures and herbal salves. That was really nice. There was, pickle makers and all kinds of things like that. And I think that this is really going to catch on. So I told you that right now Lover and I are we're out of our normal work right now. We just haven't had any of our normal work. So it's given me this opportunity to look around at things that I have here and make stuff. And it's really for the joy of making. It's not for being a like a factory that pumps out shit. Like, I gotta pump out a product. That just didn't feel, it didn't feel right to me. I wanted to be doing something that was in the joy of creativity. And so that's why I've like switched around. What, you know, like a couple weeks I was painting the cigar boxes, and then I was making runes and doing some needlepoint, and then now I'm just like on it with these magic sacks, making these different magic sacks out of old clothes that I have, and bits and then this beautiful material that Kelly gave me. I'm going to be making some magic sacks for that, and just thinking, you know, I could do that. I could make that. And while it's not really, I mean, it's not making enough money to do much with, it's getting me oiled up in my creativity. So that had me thinking about that book, The Artist's Way. I really enjoyed that book. And in week 1 of that book, because it's all of these different weeks that you move through in this like little class called The Artist's Way, you get past all the barriers. And I would summarize week 1 as just do it. Because it's all about like, I can't do it. I'm afraid this, that, or the other thing. I don't have time. I don't have skills. I can't draw. I can't sew. I'm just not creative. And that is not true. As holy love generators, children of God, we are like God, and God is creative. That is the definition of God, is creator. And we are the progeny of God, the sons and daughters. And our sons and daughters are like ourselves. I mean, I look at my face. My face looks like my grandmother's face. This face looks like my son's face. This face looks like my granddaughter's face. Right? What we create are like ourselves, and God created us, and therefore we are creators. It's all there inside us. On my Facebook page, I posted a picture of a robot, and I think it said something like, "Are robots creative?" Now, those who are really into the transhumanist movement, like my son Zach, he loves the transhumanist movement, and he would say, yeah, robots are creative. They're self-creative. They're not what we think of as robots. Like, like what I would think of as robots would be whatever it is that we put into it is what you can get out of it. But I still don't feel, even with those two extremes of thinking about robots, I still don't feel that robotic behavior brings about creativity. Robotic behavior brings about the pickle that we've gotten ourselves into, where Santa's elves are factories in China or some other third world country, filled with people who are putting together stupid ass shit that has planned obsolescence to it, that we just gobble up every year at this time so that we have something to put under the Christmas tree. Now, I personally have always I've always made things. You know, when I was doing Christmas and all the gift giving stuff, it was always handmade things. It was either handmade things or it was interesting things that I would be collecting throughout the year at garage sales. Not the stuff that we go to Walmart and buy. That wasn't ever something that I delighted in receiving or giving. So even though, like I said, I'm not going to be doing Christmas gift exchange things this year and haven't for years, if you're still doing that, then, you know, why not consider making handmade things, like things that have soul in them, things from your heart. Even, I mean, I know it's a little bit late right now because we're only like a month away from Christmas, and that would be kind of difficult to like turn yourself into a factory to make all the different items, but it would maybe, you know, you could be doing that all through this next year and be a Santa's workshop, which would make you a little factory in itself for next year, and then maybe you'll begin to see that it's all a trap. Anyway, like spending all year to make gifts for Christmas is sort of like the same thing as going out and buying everything on a credit card and paying it off through the whole year. Crazy. Anyway, how you get started, I'll tell you how I get started is it's helpful for me to have spaces that are designated. Like behind me here is my sewing machine, and over here is my ironing board, and then over there is my paint, and then there's a cozy little table with a chair, which I've shown you before, which is just it's just temporary, because once we get the Volkswagen van back, I'm gonna have to move out of that spot. And then I just hung up all these kimonos around here because of I feel better when there's color all around me and beauty all around me, and then I am quite happy to just sit here and create whatever it is that I'm creating. And I don't actually think that I am all that good at what I do in comparison to other people. But one of the things that helps me a whole lot is not to compare myself to other people. So if you're doing some kind of a creative act, you want to paint a picture and you're like, I don't know how to paint, I've never painted it, and my painting isn't going to be like so-and-so's paintings. Don't get into that. Make your own little spot and enjoy the whole process. Just the process of coming out and slipping into that creative mode. Also, one of the things that I liked to do in the beginning when I was trying to like forge my creativity, which, like I said, I never thought was all that great, you know. In the beginning especially, it was just like, this is, oh, you should have seen, when I was in my 20s, I made some slippers for my father-in-law for Christmas, and my attempts at sewing back then, because everything had to be done by hand, because I didn't have a sewing machine that worked reliably, he opened them up and I saw them, and I just thought, he's never gonna wear those. Those don't even look good. like your first attempts might not be like as good as the soulless stuff that comes over in the containers from China. But it's the process. That's what the artist's way is all about. It's like just just getting out there and starting it. Just like do it for yourself, or make jewelry and wear your own jewelry. And I haven't done that yet. The other thing that I really want to do is I have that kiln out there and that potter's wheel, and I have all the electricity for it all set up, but I just don't know. I don't know how to inspire myself to do the next thing. I set myself up for success with it, but I am just not in the place where I know what to do with it next. And you might be in that kind of a place where you don't know what to do with it next. So it's just like this, just do it. Then there's also this idea of inspiration. Like, I have painted so many, like when I was doing the pagan icons years back, I painted so many of them that I didn't have any inspiration left to do anymore. And then the trick for me is when I get to that point where it's not fun anymore, then I switch to something else, and I make something else, or I learn something else. I'll learn to dehydrate food, or make bread or something like that. I'll just switch to something else. But the thing is, you can't switch too often, because you have to be able to stick with something long enough to at least produce something. Also, there's this necessity. I once knew a lady. She was a member of our church, and I think they had something like 17 kids. They had a lot of kids. And her husband was a very successful contractor. But something happened to his business, and he just lost everything. And then there they were with all these kids. And I watched how they went through their savings, and then they started selling their jewelry that they had, and sold off a bunch of their stuff until they were all down into a ramshackle van. And you know what she started doing? She started making cinnamon buns. And she just used her bread maker. She just had a bread maker. She made yeasted cinnamon buns, and she just went to all the coffee shops here in town and sold cinnamon buns every day. Eventually, everything worked out, and they got to buy another house again, and then they're back on top. But I saw what they were like when they were down. It's like necessity is the mother of invention. You figure out a way. So if you're in that pickle where you don't have work, or you're on a limited income, start asking God, the Holy Spirit, Goddess, whatever it is that you feel comfortable in the asking of, to give you some genius ideas, and then begin creating, because we are creators, and we can live outside the construct, even though the construct around us looks so intensely scattered right now. We can actually live outside of this construct. And the way that I'm saying that right now is, I'm saying it mostly from my knowledge and from faith, mostly. But I do have a history of God's faithfulness in my experiences, which comes from speaking from the heart, like it'll work out, because things have always worked out for Lover and I. Lo, these many, many decades that we've been together. There is a way through the illusion of scarcity. And I really do believe that it's going to come from, like, this whole idea of the makers movement. Making quality items that last a lifetime you might say, well, that means that I'm not going to sell a whole bunch of these. And yeah, that would mean that. That would mean that. But maybe money is just an illusion. Maybe money is a Babylonian spell. Maybe money is not real. Maybe we're going to see some things that we will be very surprised about. And maybe it'll start with waking up from the illusion. Like, for me right now, I am totally awakened to the illusion of what this Edward Bernays time of year and the brainwashing around what all of this holiday season means. Wow. Anyway, it begins, my friend. It begins this time of year. Thanks for coming to the Real Witches of Orange County. Make something today. I'm going to finish up my magic sack a day and doing that one little thing a day, whether it's writing, whether it's creating, whether it's filmmaking. Do something creative for yourself today to awaken the God within you.